Today we're going to replace the motor on this Dyson DC14 vacuum cleaner. And here are some of the tools that we're going to need. We're going to need a Torx, that's a cross-point screwdriver, T15 I think the size is. This will be useful but not essential. This is a tool to remove the brush. This is a large flat blade screwdriver and a hammer, and of course the new motor. So first of all we're going to just remove the bin by pushing this button here and lifting it out. Okay, so now let's just lift the vacuum cleaner onto its back. And what we're going to do now is remove this brush cover just by using a flat blade screwdriver, or you could use a coin, and turning each of these screws a quarter turn. Then this section will lift up and off. Next stage is to remove this brush, and that's where this tool comes in very useful, because we can just position that on here like so, if we can see down here, and then we can just take this hook and lift the belt onto these pegs. And that will enable us to just pull this brush out. We'll put that to the side for now. We can then just take this belt off and let it sit back down. We'll put that tool out of the way for now. We'll need that again to replace the brush later. So the next thing that we can remove is this pipe section here, which is released by a little clip at the back here. You can see if we just push that inwards, it enables this pipe section to lift out. So don't pull it without pushing that releases it. Now if we just tip this forward again, this pipe section here needs a bit of persuasion, and that'll come off, and then this front section will come out as well. Might need a little bit of persuasion, but then we can put that bit over to the side. Next thing we need to remove is this front piece here. You might need to actually just pull this forward here. See that little plastic clip? That won't move forward unless you pull it upward. And when that's out of the way, we can remove these plastic circlips at the side just by pulling them out like that. Let's put those to the side. And there's another one exactly the same on this side. I'll just turn that around so that you can see the other side. Okay, so I've just released that second circlip from the other side, and we'll put that one to the side as well. Just by way of note, to make sure that you know what model number you are working with, it's on a sticker underneath here. Look, we can see this is a DC14, so the model number will be on a sticker under the left hand side of the vacuum cleaner. Okay, the next thing we need to remove is this belt cover here, and that's held in by 3 T15 Torx screws. One here, and then a third one, which is really awkward to get to, is actually in the plastic casing here. But in order to get to it, you have to put this screw, you have to make sure that this brush cover is aligned up. And you can move this backwards and forwards by removing that. But this front section's got to be pushed right back so that the screw hole in this plastic cover aligns with the screw hole in the base. So let's remove the easy screws first, which are these two here. So there's one, and there's two. Just come around this side and see where those screws are. So that's those two screws. We're just going to pause the video a minute while we get this one out, because this is quite awkward to get to and it might take a bit of fiddling to get to. You probably need a light to shine down there. I don't think you'll see it on the video, but maybe you can if you move around. Can we see there's another screw down there? Maybe not. Take my word for it, there's another screw down there. So just to recap then, that's two screws from there, 1, 2, and then that third one, which was very awkward, which you might have to turn the screw to release it and then tip the vacuum cleaner upside down to release it. Once you've taken those three screws out, this section here should lift out and be put to the side. So if we can film down there, you can see that once we've taken that belt cover out, we can actually just slip the belt itself off of the motor. Like so. So, we've removed that cover. We've removed these plastic side clips, we've removed all these pipe sections. Now what we need to do is to just allow this front brush section to move around. We need to just pull that black plastic section up so that this can tip forward. Once that's done, you should be able to just lift this front section off like that. So what we're going to need to do now is remove a further 4 screws, which are located, if we can just bring the camera around here, there's one here, can you see that? One here, and if we can come around here with the camera, the other 2 are going to be located, one down that hole there, not to be confused with this one, but that one down there, and another one down there. So we're going to take those 4 screws out, and we're just going to pause the video while we do that. Yeah. Okay, one more thing we need to do before we go any further is just remove this section here, and that's released by, if we can get the camera down there, by just getting a flat blade screwdriver into this clip section here. And we need to just pry that just a little plastic clip there that needs to be pushed out of the way, and then that'll rotate forward like that. Okay, so that's another piece you can just put to the side. Okay, stop. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to just remove this cover here. You have to be very careful because these clips are quite delicate, but they just snap on to 1, 2, 3 little clips. A large flat blade screwdriver will just remove those, and then we can remove this filter here. With those out of the way, we should be able to pull the whole motor housing up like this, and then this cover will just pry open and over the top like so. So we can just pause for a second. Okay, now that we've got the motor won't come completely away because you're going to find that it's connected by the power cord here. So what we have to do now is we have to remove the motor itself from its housing by using again a large flat blade screwdriver, and you'll see that there are clips around the edge here. So we've got to pry this out, but as we pry it out we've got to try and lift this over these clips at the same time, like that, look, see? So that's that clip removed, and we're just going to work our way down and do the same thing on the other clips, like that. So once that comes away, we've got to remove the motor itself from the housing, and the best way to do that is to use the other tool we mentioned earlier, a hammer, to just so that might take a little bit of persuasion. It's in there good, this one is. The thing that's holding it in, of course, is the rubber seal. And there we go. So now you'll see that the power cord is connected by a couple of small connectors, and the brown one from the power cord connects to the red one on the motor, and the blue one on the power cord connects to the black one on the motor. So that's the old motor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove these rubber seals, this one on the top and this one on the bottom, and put them on the new motor. So we'll just pause the video while we do that. Okay, so we've transferred the bottom seal and the top seal from the old motor onto the new motor. So we're now going to make sure that these the rubber shape aligns with the shape in the cap there. You can see that there's a narrower circle and a larger circle, so make sure that when we push this back in we align this shape up with the top. And we've also got to connect these connectors back into here. So let's just go ahead and try and connect these back up. So here's the blue one. It's a blue one on the motor this time, which will go to this blue one. I think on the old motor this was red and black. So blue can go to blue, or if you have a black and red wire on the motor, connect the black one to the blue, and the red one, of course, is the live wire to connect to brown. Make sure those connectors are making good contact. As we said, we can then go ahead and push this back into the housing, making sure that it lines up. Need to pause that for a second. So we've reconnected those wires and we've pushed the motor, the new motor, back into the housing. You might find it useful, in fact you'll probably find it essential, to put a little bit of Vaseline on this rubber seal around the outside to enable it to be pushed back into the housing. And as you can see, we've lined up the shape of the top seal into the recess in the plastic cover. So once that's back in place, we can put this cover back on. And that will go on with which way around did that come off? Ah yes, to remember which way around it comes off, you'll find there's a small arrow on this cover which points upward toward the point where the waste bin sits. So make sure that line is aligned upwards before pushing this back in. And as I've said before, you just need to make sure that these clips go back into the recesses in the outer housing. Bit of a persuasion, like that, and let's clip back in. So that's being back in place, we can put this piece back around the motor. So make sure that lines up nicely, and we can drop this back into here. That should fit snugly back into there. So with that back lined up, then we need to replace the 4 screws which hold this motor assembly into position. Might need to just hold that in position while you do it when you tip it upside down. Just make sure that that plastic housing goes into the slot there. So let's just put these 4 screws back with a T15 Torx screwdriver. those two just there. And if you remember, there are two more which go in the back here. That's another one down there. And the final one in this slot right here. I'm still not sure what that one does, but we didn't need to undo that one. So that's those 4 screws back in position. It's a lot easier putting them back in than it is taking them out. I'll just nip them up. And next we will replace that side cover, I think. Going to put this here, and my lovely assistant is going to pass that part to me. Just going to slot this on like that and then clip it backwards. And as you remember, it's no, not yet done. It's held in position by that clip there, so just make sure that that clip goes back into position like that. Okay. So we're going to replace the filter as well. So we'll just drop that new filter into here and replace the filter cover. This little plastic tab here goes under there, so don't try and put it on with the front first because it won't fit. That piece has to go under the back first and then it clips forward like that, making sure that those 1, 2, 3 clips are in position. So now we can put this piece back in. Remember, that just goes on by 2 buttons that push together. In fact, you can just push it together like that. We can now turn the thing upside down again, and we can put the brush housing back on first, front brush housing, which is this part here. Remember, it just goes on over these 2 pieces on the side, one on that side and one on that side, and we have to tip it this way. Okay, so putting this brush cover back on, we need to tip it forward. Don't try and put it on like this. It's got to go on forward, and then this piece here has got to slot in here. So you might have to just pull this bit outwards like to let that go in there, and then pull this right forward so that these side pieces can pull over like that. And then once that's in position, we need to replace these plastic circlips that we took off. Best way of doing that is put one side on and then grab it around like that, and the same on the other side. So I'll just put the same thing on the other side now. Now we can replace the clutch and belt cover, which is this piece. This piece, darling. No, not that one.
Oh no, I'm just getting nearer.
Okay. So actually, now what we need to do first, if we come around here, is we need to reconnect the belt. So we can just slot the belt down the side and back over the motor drive shaft. Like that. Just make sure that's on properly. And then this piece, which should be better, easier to get back on than it was to come off. Make sure that the belt itself goes through there. And then, if you remember, we have 2 screws here and here, and a third one there, so we're just going to pause the video a second while we put those back in. Okay, now we can put this base piece back in. Remember, that just clips in on the side here with these plastic clips. Make sure that the belt comes through the housing here, and then we'll just put these in. Make sure that's rotating properly, and then we connect this hose back up on here. Actually, that shouldn't have come off like that. This piece should go on here first. Okay. Stop. Okay, it is better that the end piece is on the hose first, and then we can push that into position on there. At this stage we could also put that hose piece back on there, which we lost. There we go. That piece, remember that clip. And now we can put this back in using our special tool again, which we just position there, grab the belt and hold it over those pegs. Allowing us to get the brush back in. Remember to put the bit that the belt drives under the belt. These have to be lined up as well at the end, so make sure you get these the right way around. The flat piece comes toward the back of the machine here. You can just push that into position, and then when that's in position properly like that, we can lower the belt back onto the actual brush roll like that. Take the tool out of the way and make sure that's rotating cleanly. Then this piece back on. Those pegs there go into these slots here, so it goes on front first and then folds back, and then a quarter turn on these screws, these 3 plastic grey screws. And we should be all done.
Voila.
Having put the bin back on, of course. We'll do that afterwards, shall we? Oh, okay. Let's replace the filter as well, the top filter, which we do by just unclipping there and actually this kit comes with 2 sections there, which probably go in there. seal's okay actually. I don't think we need to replace that. And
Presto.
that should be all done.
Presto. Presto. Voila. Very good, my darling.
Are we all?